Thank you, Tim. I usually preach for about 3/4 of an hour, so I won't be talking that long. I actually thought they were giving a picture of Huong's life up here. Is that correct or not? That's very much so. It's really great. It's a real pleasure today to share a few things about Huong. 25 years ago, when he was 25, he expected his life to be over, so God has given him another 25 years. And it's more than he expected, I think. He's often said that to me. Well, I think you've got a lot more than 25 years to go, so yeah, there's plenty of time yet. But I just was reflecting on when I first met you, and just thinking back to the fact that Huong has just written a book of his life. You know, most people here know that. And it's a very good book, although it's a little bit biased. I just want to tell you that this book he's written is a little bit biased. It's fairly one-sided. And the reason I say that is because he has not put in that book all the work that I did to make him the man that he is today. The hours of sweat and tears that I put into his life, the prayer, the agonizing that is to make this man who he is today is not in that book. So I just want you to know that it's a bit biased in the way he's written it. But I do suggest you buy it. You know, as I look back over the years that we've been together, how many years is it? About 20 years that I have watched Huong grow, and I saw him first come into the church and sleep at the... You couldn't sleep at the back of the church because it was just one row in those days. We sat in a circle. But he went to sleep every time I preached. That gives great confidence to a preacher. I remember the first time I had an altar call in the church, and I just shared and then just asked if anyone wants to give their lives to Jesus, would they please put up their hand? And he put his hand up. My first response was, what do I do now? Because this is the first time it's ever happened in our church. And so I prayed for him, and then I watched the journey that Huong went on. And I have to admit, it is amazing to see what God has done in Huong's life. I have got to acknowledge, as I look back to see what Huong was when I first met him, and I didn't know all the past history, but from then till he is now, I have to say one thing, and that is the grace of God. It's definitely not what I did or any other person. It is what God did in his life. And it's one of the beauties I find of being involved in what we do here, is that just allowing God to work in people's lives is one of the most amazing things, and seeing the journey that people have been on. And I'm not going to tell you the journey. You can read the book for that. But you know, when I look back, Huong was our first convert. Huong is the first one that's come through this church and come into ministry in the church, and it's been an amazing thing to see. You know, Huong says he comes from a atheistic background, but he doesn't. He comes from an atheistic plus animist, Confucius Taoist background. And when the missionaries first went into China, which is very similar in the sense of it's a lot of Taoism and Confucianism in China, they said that it took 3 generations for leadership to be raised up in the church in China. 3 generations to get quality leadership in the church in China. And I look at what God has done in the lives of ones like Huong and others here, and I say, well, it's not taking 3 generations now. People have come out of that background with no understanding of Christian principles or anything, and God has done amazing work in his life and lives of others as well. So it's really amazing to see that, and just to see what God has done. It's been a joy to work with you. I'm not going to tell all the bad stories on. It's been a joy to work with you. Some people have got frustrated with him because he is wonderful with people but hopeless at administration. We asked him to do the telephone book. It took over 2 years to do, and then someone had to take over to do it. But everyone has their strengths and weaknesses. We know your weaknesses. we're starting to find out your strengths. It's